Welcome to the Smartcast, Ankita.
Thanks, Omkar. Glad to be here.
So, like I mentioned, recently we've reached the 1000 day milestone internally. So let's start with something related to that. What is something that you've liked a lot about the CTQ reading compound internally?
So the thing I like the most about the reading compound basically is that it started as an internal experiment at Choose to Think, and then it grew from there. It stemmed from an internal experiment, and it grew from there into these external compounds, and you know it's helping us grow, it's helping other people grow. People have appreciated the curation as well, and there's the variety of content and the diversity of content actually has helped us, because it allows us to make these connections across disciplines and understand concepts better. So yeah, and also because we do it as a part of a group, there's sort of this accountability that's there, and you're in a pact with each other that you're going to continue that streak, even if you might not feel as internally motivated. Sometimes it's the peer pressure actually works. And the reading compound sort of reminds me of one of the first books that I read, which was The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton,
Mhm.
the Faraway series. Yeah. So I think it was written in the wartime. So in it, a bunch of kids actually enter into this magical forest, and they come across this gigantic tree, and they decide to climb it to find out how tall it is, and they come
Uh-huh.
across these folks who help them and encourage them on the journey. And as they reach the top, they find a magical land, and it's there for a limited amount of time, so they have to get back. They have to have their adventure in that limited allotted time, and then they need to get back. So there's a lot of learning that happens there. They learn about themselves, about each other, about the world, and then they come back, and then next time they're back up again, literally up leveling themselves, each time they tree. So it reminds me a little bit of the reading about, because it's also somewhat magical in the similar vein.
Oh, that's a lovely analogy. I had not considered that. And that is maybe something I should check out next. So, since you mentioned, know, some that you really like the curation and it has helped you draw inspiration from a wide variety of sources, from wide variety of source materials. What I want to know next is what is something memorable you have come across when you were reading, something memorable that you stumbled across while reading in the reading
um,
compound.
so many things, but since we're talking about habits, there was this book that we read. I think it was Sea Stories, written by and a Navy SEAL admiral. So in it, he mentions that these Navy SEALs actually have to, the trainees have to undergo this training, which is for underwater demolition. So not a lot of trainees are able to get through that, because they end up quitting, because they just have to ring the bell 3 times to quit. It's that simple. So the
Right.
lesson there is, like, if you want to take up a activity or a habit, you want to build upon that, make it easy to start with, but make it very difficult to quit. So that's one lesson. Recently we read this article on konbinis, which are Japanese convenience stores.
Yeah.
So it was in relation to how Tokyo is being fed by its konbini. So Tokyo is a Tokyo is basically obsessed with orderliness and efficient systems. There's low crime rate, and there's almost no traffic congestion and no pollution, and everybody's healthy. One of the reasons everybody's healthy is because these convenies actually provide them with the nutritious food, and it comes in like fresh thrice a day, and there's a lot of variety. But
Wow.
so the thing is that it's efficient, so everybody is very healthy over there, but a lot of food gets wasted.
Mhm.
So probably because the article mentioned that Tokyo takes the shortest route to a goal. So probably in looking at efficiency, they're not taking into account sustainability. So in by the end of the century, it's probably convenience will no longer be there. They'll have shut down. So while making any habits or systems, and you need to take the long term perspective as well, and not just take the shortest route to the goal. Don't focus so much on efficiency that you uh, forget to see the second order consequences.
That's very helpful. Uh, in fact, it's it's leading to some amount of crystallization in my mind. It is a point that I had not considered myself. So thank you for that. It's something I'm going to mull over for the rest of this evening. Speaking of habits that are easy and difficult to pick up, you mentioned that in the Navy SEAL uh, context and Navy SEAL training, the trainees were allowed to quit just by ringing a bell 3 times. And what you want while building a habit is just the opposite: easy to start with and difficult to quit.
Right.
Right. So I want to ask you something about a habit that has been a difficult one for you to pick up.
Um, okay, difficult. Actually, last year only I started building this habit, and I've managed to continue it. It has been difficult in the past. It's walking as a fitness routine. So we
Mhm.
read this book summary of a book called In Praise of Walking.
Yeah.
So that sort of convinced me, it extolled the virtues of walking daily and, benefits for the mind and body. So I tried it before, but
Mhm.
what happens with habits like these is you're very enthusiastic in the beginning and you tend to
Yeah.
overdo it the first day. And then the next day you're so exhausted, you're like, I'll take a break. And then like day after that, you're like, okay, I'll start afresh from next week. The habit never gets built. Once in a while you'll get all enthusiastic and start. So this time what I did was I started small and I gradually built up to the level I wanted, the difficulty level I wanted to maintain. So that has helped me. I didn't overdo it this time. So yeah, and I try to keep it fun for myself. And I like having these mini challenges each day. How many steps can I cover in a certain amount of time? I used a fitness tracker for that. Which different routes can I take? And things like that. And as easy as I could as well, like don't, because it's very difficult when you start a habit, each activity, each day that you do that activity, make it easy for you to start. So that is the basic thing. The first 5 minutes is very crucial. So have everything prepared, and so it's easy. My shoes are out, my mask is there, so I know just I have to wear that and go. So takes a lot of don't have to think too much about it. There's
Right.
no too much planning involved. So that
Right.
has yeah.
What I'm taking away from this is there has to be some amount of variety, some amount of variable reward component to your habit, to your routine, and that helps it stick a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is something you've cracked this time around. I hope you managed to keep that going.
Yeah.
All the best on that front. And since we are talking about rewards, what are some of the rewards that have worked well for you when you're trying to build habits?
So I think for most of us, it's seeing progress. That is the most motivational thing that can be there. Uh, but it's not always easy because most of the, uh, you know, uh, habits actually are such that you won't see progress immediately. So having these mini goals, mini challenges, and these mini wins actually keep you motivated. But like Harish says, the habit is its own reward. I believe that. So if you have the habit in place, the progress will happen automatically. So that anything else is a bonus. If you have the habit, then you've made it. Your progress will see. You'll see the progress happen. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, basically make any amount of progress, any amount of moving up that you do very obvious to yourself, just so that it helps you stay motivated, gives you that extra shot in the arm on days when you're not feeling particularly happy about putting on the shoes and going out on a walk on a cold day.
Mm. Yeah.
That's very useful. And Ankita, so far you've given me a lot of gold, literal gold when it comes to tips on building habits. But uh, are there any 3 tips that have worked for you? Any 3 tips that you would specifically want to give to someone who's trying to build a new habit?
Okay. Might be repeating some of it, but first make it easy. In that, what you can do is basically start small and set reminders. And basically, you can also stack that habit on top of a pre-existing habit.
Mhm.
So that habit just flows into the other habit. You don't have to do a lot of thinking. Second would be make it fun, gamify all whatever aspects of the activity that you can, so that you stay engaged and you want to actually enjoying the process. Then you will actually be able to sustain the habit. And the third would be to track it, at least in the beginning, when you're trying to form the habit. Try and track it visually if possible. So that way you can go back and analyze and reflect on what worked and what didn't work, which days did you miss, if you can improve on that, whatever was what hurdles were there, if you can try and remove them from that way you can maintain the streak. So initially try doing that. That has worked for me.
Super. Okay. Usually for our habits and routine smartcast, we end with a short segment on some rapid fire questions. So I think it's time for some rapid fire questions where I won't let you think too much. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. So after waking up, what is the first thing you do?
Drink some water. Think of what I need to do that day. Main things that I need to achieve, basically.
Oh wow, that's a great way of setting yourself up for the rest of the day. I'm making a mental note right now. Okay,
You do that already. No, most of us do. Think about the day.
See, the first thing I do after waking up is turning my alarm off and making sure I don't snooze it, and then maybe checking for any messages that I've received. So that is one habit that I am trying to kick. What is a habit that you are trying to kick?
So it's I wouldn't say I'm trying to kick it, but yeah, it's the habits that you have to monitor, regulate. I think they are harder than the habits you're trying to make or break. So it's a couple of habits, like perhaps watching too much television, which is fun and educational depending on what you watch, but you tend to overdo it and it impedes productivity. Then there's I want to cut down on the amount of tea I have. I don't want to completely kick the habit, but yeah, I've been having a lot of tea. And of course, my sleep routine, I want to fix that. So it's not like I want to not sleep at all, but yeah, I want to sleep at a fixed time. But I think the last two habits might be correlated, and I'll have to figure that one out.
Yes, it's possible. What is one habit that you have picked up this year in 2020? Let me say, put it that way.
So walking has been one of the habits that I'm proud to have, managed to at least continue.
And on that note, before we close, what is one habit that you're looking forward to building in 2021?
Yeah, there are actually a couple. I want to restart my habit of, it was actually a hobby, painting, not painting, but drawing and sketching. I want to learn more and do it more deliberately as a habit. And I want to learn languages. I think it should have started doing that a little earlier, would have been easier. But yeah, it's not impossible. Planning to learn more languages.
If I may remind you, Ramanand has an ongoing streak of doing something on Duolingo on French for quite some time. So maybe he is the person to check with when it comes to Duolingo and languages.
Yeah, I remember you also started learning Italian on Duolingo, and Ramanand was learning French. And then I was like, yeah, I'll also learn, and I continued for some months. It got very difficult actually. So yeah, you need more sources. You can't just stick to one. So yeah, plan to do that. Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us for today's Smartcast, Ankita. It was a pleasure talking to you. And until next time, we'll speak again sometime soon.